and thanks for joining me on Conversations with Alice. I am Alice Agada. Today, our conversation will be centered on abusive homes and environments. Abusive homes or environments refers to places or circumstances where people are abused in many ways, including physically, emotionally, psychologically, or sexually. These settings can exist in homes, but they can also exist in other settings like institutions, businesses, and schools. An abusive home or environment is characterized by harmful behaviors, dynamics, and conditions that negatively impact the well-being and safety of individuals residing in that space. Here are some situations that constitute an abusive home or environment. 1. Physical abuse. This refers to the application of physical force to a person that causes them pain, harm, or puts their physical safety in peril. Examples include shoving, kicking, slapping, hitting, or harming another person with an object. 2. Emotional and psychological abuse. This type of abuse seeks to control, manipulate, or degrade the feelings, self-worth, or mental health of the victim. Constant criticism, humiliation, verbal abuse, intimidation, gaslighting, isolating the victim from loved ones, or withholding affection are all examples of abusive behavior. 3. Sexual abuse. Any non-consensual sexual activity or exploitation is considered as sexual abuse. Rape, coerced sex, unwanted sex advances, indecent exposure, and sexual harassment are some examples. 4. Financial abuse. This is when someone uses another person's financial resources against their will or for their own gain. Money can be withheld, access to cash can be restricted, assets can be stolen, or someone can be forced to become financially dependent. 5. Neglect. Neglect is the inability to meet fundamental necessities such as food, shelter, medical treatment, or education. It is also the failure to provide the required care, support, or protection. It can also involve emotional neglect, in which a person's emotional health is routinely ignored or discounted. 6. Substance abuse. Excessive or unchecked drug or alcohol use can foster an abusive environment within a home. Abuse of substances can result in unpredictable or violent behavior. Carelessness with duties, financial difficulties, and general instability. 7. Power dynamics and control. Abusive situations frequently feature power imbalances. When one individual exercises control over others through coercion, manipulation, or dominance. This can involve dictating policies, cutting people off social networks, or using threats and intimidation to stay in control. People who live in abusive settings suffer physically, emotionally, and psychologically as a consequence. The following are some detrimental consequences. 1. Physical harm. Physical violence may leave victims with scratches, bruises, fractured bones, and other wounds. It may result in physical limitations, persistent discomfort, and long-term health issues. 2. Emotional trauma. Residing in a violent setting might result in serious emotional damage. Victims frequently feel helpless, anxious, and frightened. Low self-esteem, sadness, and suicidal thoughts could also emerge. 3. Psychological effects. Abusive families can result in PTSD, anxiety problems, and eating disorders, among other psychological diseases. The victim's capacity to build relationships and trust might be hampered by ongoing abuse. 4. Developmental problems. Children raised in abusive environments are susceptible to developmental delays. The trauma children experience can impede their cognitive, social, and emotional growth, which can cause problems in schools and other areas of their lives. 5. Interpersonal difficulties. Victims who are exposed to abusive circumstances may find it difficult to build wholesome connections. Their interpersonal relationships may suffer from issues with trust, setting limits, and communication. 6. Substance abuse. Some people use alcohol or drugs as a coping method to handle the stress and trauma of living in a violent home. This can worsen their overall health and cause substance abuse disorders. 7. Transmission over generations. Abusive households can continue a circle of abuse for several generations. Children exposed to or experiencing abuse are more likely to grow up to commit acts of violence against others or to be in violent relationships. 8. Social impact. Abusive environments and households have enormous social effects. They contribute to social difficulties like child abuse, domestic violence, and mental health problems. Society as a whole is burdened by the expense of providing social services and assistance to the victims and their families. In order to support, intervene, and provide resources to those impacted by abusive households and environments, as well as strive towards establishing safe and healthy living situations for everyone, it is essential to recognize the negative consequences of such settings. Healing from the effects of an abusive home or environment can be a difficult and complicated process. Here are some actions one can take. 1. Recognize and acknowledge the abuse. Recognizing that the home or environment is harmful is the first step. Understanding abuse patterns, such as physical, emotional, verbal, or psychological, is a prerequisite for preventing it. 2. Seek assistance. Speak with a dependable friend, member of your family, or qualified individual. Having a listening ear and sharing your experiences with someone can help you feel validated and guide you through the healing process. 3. Develop a safety plan. If you are still residing in a hostile environment, it is crucial to do so in order to safeguard yourself. This can entail locating a secure place to stay, creating an emergency plan, and gathering crucial papers or documents. 4. Establish boundaries. Defined boundaries are essential to safeguarding your well-being. Tell the abuser what your limits are and enforce them if they are crossed. Limit or end communication with the abuser as needed. 5. Seek professional assistance. Consider therapy or counseling with a mental health expert who has knowledge in working with abuse survivors. They can help you on your path to recovering by offering advice, coping mechanisms, and encouragement. 6. Invest in your well-being by prioritizing self-care practices that enhances your mental, emotional, and physical health. This can entail doing things that you like to do, finding ways to relax, practicing mindfulness or meditation, and leading a healthy lifestyle. 7. Educate yourself. Get to know the dynamics and consequences of abuse. Recognize that you are not to blame for the abuse and that you are entitled to compassion and respect. You can get perspective and insight about your circumstances by educating yourself. 8. Create a supportive network. Surround yourself with positive, encouraging individuals. Join support groups or get in touch with people who have similar experiences. It can be powerful and therapeutic to share your experience with people who can relate. 9. Make use of resources that are available. Look into and use community resources, including shelters, hotlines, legal aid, and support groups that can offer assistance and direction. 10. Be patient with yourself. Recovery from abuse is a personal journey that requires time. Be kind to yourself and understand that the process can encounter obstacles. Remember that recovery is possible as you celebrate each tiny victory along the path. It is important to remember that every person's healing process is different. Please get help from emergency services or a helpline in your country if you or someone you know is in immediate danger. Society has a significant impact on reducing the prevalence of abusive situations and homes. Here are some ways society can make a positive and significant difference. 1. Education and awareness. Society may assist individuals in recognizing the symptoms and comprehending the effects of abusive behavior by fostering education and awareness about abuse. Public campaigns, workshops, and instructional initiatives in schools and communities can accomplish this. 2. Support systems. Organizations like helplines, counseling centers, and shelters for abused people can be established and strengthened by society. These services offer people a secure setting where they can seek support and assistance. 3. Legal protection and enforcement. Society can create laws that safeguard abused people and hold abusers accountable. Laws prohibiting domestic violence, child abuse, and other types of abuse are included in this. Additionally, society can make sure that these regulations are implemented and enforced. 4. Prevention initiatives. Society can put in place prevention initiatives that tackle issues like toxic masculinity, gender inequality, and a lack of communication skills, as well as the underlying reasons of abusive behavior. Schools, workplaces, and other public spaces might be the focus of these programs. 5. Empowering survivors. By granting access to resources, counseling, and rehabilitation programs, society can empower abuse victims. To assist survivors in regaining control over their life, this also entails providing them with financial support, housing assistance, and job training programs. The benefits of eradicating or minimizing abusive homes and environments are enormous for society as a whole. 1. Improved well-being. People's physical, mental, and emotional well-being are improved when abusive environments are eliminated. In turn, this promotes a happier and healthier society. 2. A strong social fabric. Promoting a culture of respect, empathy, and kindness strengthen ties within communities and facilitate wholesome interaction between people and families. 3. Economic productivity. Society can help individuals fulfill their full potential, which can result in enhanced production and economic growth. By minimizing abuse and its effects, such as trauma and mental health problems. 4. Ending the circle of abuse. Future generations are less likely to continue abusive behavior when abuse is reduced. This aids in ending the circle of abuse and making the environment safer for the next generations. 5. Social justice. Society fights injustice and inequality by addressing abusive behavior. It advocates for a society in which everyone, regardless of their age, gender, or origin, feels secure and appreciated. A society that is more compassionate, equitable, and prosperous for all its members results from eliminating or drastically reducing abusive homes and environments. To preserve the victim's safety and well-being, it is crucial to identify and deal with abusive circumstances. Helplines, counseling services, support groups, and legal protection are all examples of supportive tools that may be extremely helpful in assisting people to leave destructive situations and start healing. Regardless of age, gender, socioeconomic class, or cultural background, abuse can happen in any kind of relationship or home. It is essential to seek assistance and support from experts or organizations that are focused on domestic violence or abuse if you or someone you know is experiencing abuse. Let's keep the conversations going. See you next time, and bye for now.